costing money. That sounds a little dichotomous, but it is not so. To move water, to do anything with the water, you need to spend energy. And energy, of course, is getting more and more expensive every day. To move water from one place to another, to move seawater, to treat wastewater, the huge amount of energies are involved. And I think just like in all other areas, here the main area is how to reduce the energy to make it more competitive. We must get water, we must reduce the energy required to handle water. I remember that quite some time back I was in a town where they were performing Environment Week. And the slogan which was appearing everywhere was that the best things in life, air and water, are free, but as long as supplies last. So now this time that we are hearing from the morning that supplies are not infinite. So supplies will not last unless we take action on it. One last thing that I would mention, there are a lot of possible actions. We have heard in the last session also a lot of talks about technology. Lots of possible action. But to change the way we act, we must first change the way we think. And that is applicable everywhere, and even in water consumption, water conservation, water purification, water recycling. The whole thing bent on recycle, reuse. We have to do it much more than what we are doing. So, thank you very much once again for sticking to this session at the end, till the end. And I'm sure the speakers here will be worth it, and they will tell you a lot of things which would be quite interesting. Thank you very much. I would now call upon the first speaker of the session, Mr. Alok Kumar Sarkar, who is the Chief Operations Manager, Haldia Plant of Exide Industries. He would speak on processed water and effluent treatment. And I would request him to please remember that to finish it within 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I am Alok Kumar Sarkar. I belong to Exide Industries Limited Haldia plant. I have been given 12 minutes time to share my experience for effluent treatment as a battery manufacturing plant, and I'll also share that the activities we have done for recycling of water, and also the result is the cost reduction. Now, if you just to share the vision of our organization is to simultaneously provide credible value addition to customers, employees and shareholders, being recognized by society as a responsible corporate citizen, in addition achieving operational excellence along with caring for environmental protection. And just to why I uttered this a corporate vision itself is that we have to care for our Mother Earth, and we have to act accordingly. The vision is supported by mission and definitely our core values. Now, history of our industry, our operation started in 1916 and as a trading company. Our first manufacturing plant established in Shamnagar, West Bengal in 1946. Haldia plant is the third plant in the organization. Now, just to quick go through, we have 7 operating plants, 2 R&D centers, 4 regional centers. We have almost 5,000 employees, 12,000 dealers, and 22 cities are covered with Batmobile service. It's a very unique service for any battery user. We have a toll-free number. Anybody can call that number and get a free service whenever it is there, maybe in house or on the road. Now, about Haldia, in our plant is surrounded by number of benchmark companies, so we have to have more responsibility to meet the targets. As for our plant, we have 42-acre land, around 48,000 meter square floor space. And we have around 680 employees, and 2 types of product we manufacture here, automotive and industrial. Now, these are the products used in automobile and also for home UPS. The products used in industrial application, starting from forklift, golf cart, home UPS, and Reva electric car, and power plants. We follow systems. We have the quality management systems, environment management systems. We are a TPM practicing factory, and we have strong quality circle activities and small group activities for problem solving. Now, our today's discussion, the key focus is on that pollution control through effluent treatment, and also the process modification so that total effluent volume comes down. Now, just to tell you that the battery maker, the battery is based on lead and acid. Both are very problematic material, and we also use PP containers as a container for the battery. For using these materials, any battery manufacturing unit has been categorized as a red category industry. Now, that gives us a lot of responsibility to see the proper effluent treatment is taken care of, because any battery manufacturing unit will require a lot of water to be used, because that is a process requirement. And then with the responsibility, each and every stages we take care of so that the effluent generated is treated properly, and that is being reused wherever possible. Now, method we followed to do that, or to decide that which water can be reused, will be shown in next slides. But just to tell you that we have, for a battery, we have a positive plate and negative plate. So left side you see that is basically we are doing the negative plate generation. There are few processes like casting, pasting and curing drying. Similarly, for positive plate, we have the process called spine casting, and then filling, and then washing, and then both the positive and negative comes to a process called formation. We call it plate formation, means a green plate is formed as a battery plate. There we have to put a lot of energy there in presence of sulfuric acid and water, and that actually makes those plates to be used in battery. Now, few photographs where the water is used very extensive, like acid, which we have to dilute to use in a battery, needs a lot of water. Then the pasting is a process, it is basically we call it a wet process in the factory, means it requires a lot of water. Then pickling of plate and washing is a process where we basically create the plate ready to accept energy, to deliver energy afterwards. That means we have plate converted to a battery plate. Then formation is a process where we put energy from outside, and then other processes are the washing, and then again the formation process. Again, one call is the tank charging, means battery after finish you have to charge before dispatch. So these all the processes require a lot of water, and also additional water required for the dross we call is a basically sludge of lead to cooling that, and then personal use and floor wash. Now we have the 3 effluent treatment plants and 1 sewage treatment plant to take care of the effluent generated. Now, if you see, this is the present water balance. This is very important for us to take care of, that where we use water, how much water is being used, and how much water is generated from each process. Because this will give the clue that where we can actually take care of and what action we can take care of to reduce the water consumption. Now, next is that from that water balance, we have tabulated that where the areas we use the water. Process water around 436 kl water we use daily in the process, and around 613 kl of water we use in other areas. Now, this is the step we call that wastewater quality measurement, because before we reuse it, we have to understand that what are the quality of the water and which area we have to use those. Now, these are the areas you see that earlier we used to discharge those through ETP drains and then treat in the ETPs or stormwater. Then these are the activities earlier. Now, present activities I will show you one by one. Implementation plan, what we said that the areas after testing the water quality, we found that some areas of water we can reuse. And then by brainstorming, the areas we have found out where those areas could be reused. Because reuse of water, we have to keep one thing in mind, that first is the machine and the process will use the water. Second thing is that some areas, the people and also plants may get those waters. So we have to keep in mind always that when we reuse those waters, that no way the human life or plant or our Mother Earth should get disturbed. So through this process we have found out that which water could be used in which process. Now, then if you'll see that before after a few sketches where actually I tried to show you that how the things were earlier and what we are doing now. Now, see this RO reject water used to go to the drain earlier. Now we are reusing it in different activities like cooling water, like your makeup water, in makeup water, cooling water, toilet use, and also for lime slurry making. Now, similarly, this charging process water which was used to go to the drain, that is being stored and reused again, recycled back for the same process. Now, all these changes has given a lot of saving of water. The rainwater harvesting, we have a small plant, not a big plant, very small plant, and this we have already established almost in the rainy season, almost 70 KL water we can save through this plant. Now, paste recovery system is a process where we actually put active material to a plate. This is basically called the wet process. I shown you some photographs there earlier. This wet process generated a lot of water which is mixed with acid and lead. So this we have taken back to the same process because this has also helped us to reduce that reuse of material, that is lead, and also water. Now, sewage treatment plant we are reusing it for gardening now. This is pickling is basically a process where we wash a positive plate, and earlier we used to use only it is for charging process. Now we have added three more processes where we use this water. Similarly, the positive plate water also we started reusing it more in one more area. This is an acid recovery plant. This is very important for us. The formation is a process where we put the energy in the battery plate in presence of sulfuric acid solution. Now, this acid used to go to the ETP drain for treatment and then the discharge, and it used to generate a lot of sludge. Now, this we are recycling and reusing as a top-up acid for formation process. Similarly, acid dilution process, it was earlier manual, now we have made it mechanized, and in this process we have saved a lot of acid as well as water. This is a process called slurry filling. In this process, we actually fill the positive plate with active material. Here, earlier the slurries used to go to drain and then go to the ETPs. Now we are recycling that. Water is being reused and also slurry being reused. Now, this benefits after this implementation, we have got almost more than 300 KL water saved with compared to if I consider today and 3 years back. Now, these are the areas where the processes or systems we have put to reuse the water, wastewater which used to be waste earlier. Now, results. Results, if you see that consumption of raw water has drastically come down. This is a 3 years result only here, which will show you that from 3 years back to now is almost 25% reduction. Processed water consumption also has come down after implementing this process. This last year we have got around 10% reduction. Similarly, the consumption acid also has come down because this is important for us because effluent generation, in our effluent generation mainly it contains acid. So the acid, few areas we have started reusing those acids, and acid consumption has also come down, which resulted that sludge generation in ETP has also come down. It is almost 15% reduction is there. Now, cost benefit, last year we got around 47 lakh saving by doing these activities. Now, thing is that basically designing and implementing things are very easy, but now sustenance is the main process, which takes a lot of time, and also this is more focused area, otherwise we cannot survive. Now, our process of sustenance is that we monitor every day water consumption. Is a daily MIS generated, and I personally look after this, the water consumption, and also it also includes the area-wise water consumption. Then comes that acidic effluent, concentration of acid in the acidic effluent. Because if the concentration is more, then my effluent generation will take, it will be difficult, treatment will be difficult, and it will generate more sludge. Similarly, the ETPs, all ETPs are basically monitored to see that effluent generation, acid concentration, the lime used to neutralize that acidic water, and also the sludge generation. So the daily monitoring is done, and also the water discharge from ETPs are monitored by us daily and also by external sources. Our future target, very ambitious target, but Haldia team has taken target that today's effluent volume will be reduced by 50% in the next 3 years' time. Thank you very much for presence here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sarkar. I think you have almost on time. But apart from that, I think what we could see from his presentation that Exide has gone in Haldia plant the absolutely right way. That they have broken down the whole process part by part. Each part they have gone into, and each part they have seen how much of what is the water balance first. Before you do anything, I mean, as it said, you can't control anything which you can't monitor. So either which you don't monitor. So either after that they are continually monitoring not only the water quantity but the water quality. I think that's about the way to go. Thank you very much. The next speaker is from Ballapur paper. Yeah, but he will present. Yes, I know that. So there are two speakers on from the same company, Amarandranath Bhattacharjee, Ballapur Director, Ballapur Paper, and Sri Manas Bose, Manager Electrical. On behalf of them, Sri Manas Bose will present the paper on water recycling in manufacturing, the best practices in water-intensive operations.
Good evening, honorable delegates and members of Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We would like to thank the Bengal Chamber of Commerce for organizing this two-day environment and energy conclave. This is an important topic which affects our everyday life and work. It has important implications for industry. The more responsibility business behaves, the better it is for ensuring a sustainable future on this planet. On behalf of MTEC Group of Companies, we have been honored to share this podium to deliberate on water recycling in manufacturing, best practices in water-intensive operation. Let us have a glimpse. We will discuss the topics in two parts. One is a scarce resource, and then economizing process water in paper industry. Now we come to global water resources. Since our early boyhood, we have learned that in earth there is 3 parts of water and 1 part of land. It is true, but practically we should know how much water is present in earth, which has accessibility to humanity. In total water stream in earth, the salt water is 97.5% and fresh water is 2.5%. In this 2.5% of fresh water, around 70% is glaciers and snow covers, and 30% is groundwater, and only 0.3% is accessible to humanity. If we go to figure, there are about 35 million km3 of fresh water on the earth, of which groundwater and soil moisture is 10.7 million km3, glacier ice, permafrost, and permanent snow, that is of 24.4 million km3, lakes and marshlands, 0.1 million km3, and rivers, 0.002 million km3. Human can take water from groundwater, river, lakes, and marshlands. And what is the amount? It is estimated that between 12,500 to 40,000 km3 is available for human consumption each year. Still, we have shortage. For 1 billion people, safe water is scarce. Many countries in Africa, the Middle East, Western Asia, and some Eastern European countries have lower than average quantities of freshwater resources available to their population. Population pressure on resources. Due to rapid population growth, water availability is reducing drastically. It was 12,900 m3 per capita per year in 1970 and reduced to 9,000 m3 per capita per year in 1990. Again reduced to 7,000 m3 per capita per year in 2000 and expected to drop to 5,100 m3 per capita per year by 2025. And what is the scenario in India? Up to 1995, we were in safe zone, when we were withdrawing about 20 to 30% of total available water. But after that, due to rapid industrialization and population growth, withdrawal of water is increased to 40%, and above which is alarming. From the above statistics, it is very clear that we have to recycle water in every stage of use so that in future we may remain safe. This is a typical water cycle in a region where water is used in different areas, that is irrigation use, municipal use, and industrial use, and all are stored in closed circulation. Now, paper industry in India. At every step in the manufacturing process, our goal is to use as little water as possible and to reuse water whenever possible. Pulp and paper making is the water-intensive process. So, we will discuss of water recycling in paper manufacturing unit as a model. Before explaining the water cycle, here is a brief of process so that it will be clear what is the role of water in a process and what are the scopes of reuse. Process brief. Paper could be made from virgin pulp, from bamboo, soft and hardwood, agricultural residue like bagasse, straw, etc., or from recycled fiber, that is waste paper. Here we will discuss about the process with recycled fiber. What is the advantage of recycled paper? The production of recycled paper has significant environmental advantages over virgin paper production, including less impact on forest resources, less air pollution, less water pollution, less water consumption, less energy consumption, and less solid waste. 1 ton of recycled paper uses 64% less energy, 50% less water, 74% less air pollution, saves 17 trees, and creates more jobs. But there is some disadvantage. Fiber are recycled, it gets shorter, which decreases strength, so it can be reused only 5 to 7 times. So certain amount of long fiber derived from virgin pulp are added in the process as required. And scenario of paper industry in India, some useful data. Raw material-wise paper plant in India, wood-based is 32%, recycled paper is 38%, and agri-residue-based is 30%. In India, specific water consumption is 150 m3 per ton of product. In global, best specific water consumption is 29 m3 per ton of paper. It is clear that in India, specific water consumption is much greater than world standard. Paper manufacturing. Now let us explain the process of paper manufacturing. Paper making is a twofold process. First step is pulp making. Pulp is a commercial cellulose fibers produced from waste paper by mechanical process. Water is added in this section to make the pulp to 4% consistency. So the process of cleaning, screening, and refining can be done. And after that, we get the fibers to a pulp with desired characteristics. Typical water addition is required of about 25 m3 per ton of paper. In this process, a significant amount of wastewater is generated, which contains many impurities such as pins, plastics, glues, certain amount of fines, etc. After separating some impurities from water with the help of vibrating screen, hill screen, and specific equipments like turbo separator, Senti cleaner, this water is treated separately in subsequent stages. After that, this processed pulp is fed to paper machine for making paper. And paper machine. As paper is a general term for a sheet of fibers formed on fine screen from a water suspension, so the stock solution from pulp mill is then further diluted to a consistency of 0.7 to 0.8 before it is pumped to the head box of paper machine. Typical water addition required in this section is 125 m3 per ton of paper. During the first part of the paper machine, which is called the wet section, water is removed by gravity and vacuum suction. Resulting paper wave has 25% solid. If rate of production is at 6 tons per hour, then water removed will be 720 m3 per hour in the wet part. And the press part, at the end of wet section, paper wave is moved from the wet end wire to the press section with the help of felt. While paper is pressed between large rolls during its passage, which removes water from the paper wave, and the dry content is increased to 50%. If production is 6 tons per hour, then water removed will be 6 m3 per hour. And the final part of the paper machine is the dry end section. The paper is so strong that it does not need any supporting wire or felt. Here additional water is removed with the help of steam heated dryer, so the dry content increases to 94%. At 6 tons per hour rate, water removed will be 6 m3 per hour in this stage. So it is clear, paper making is a water intensive process. It generates a great quantity of wastewater. Concerns for the environment has led to development of procedure to minimize water consumption and less discharge. High cost of fresh water has also spurred the development to reuse processed water to the maximum possible. So current trend in pulp and paper industry is to close the processed water system. This system will reduce the freshwater intake. It is a typical water flow in closed water system paper plant. How the closed water system is made? Water received from wet end section and press section again pumped back to the system through white water tank, wire pit and silo. This is called short chain white water system. And some fresh water added in this system to maintain the mass balance, which is around 2 mq per ton of paper. And remaining water is sent to pulp mill for fulfilling the process requirement. And discharged water from pulp mill after regenerated through CROPTA and ETP are used in some areas of pulp mill and paper machine. However, water reuse is accomplished with accumulation of non-process element and the increase of microbiological activity. Now, how the non-process elements comes in the closed water system? During the processing of pulp, some of the fibers are broken down into small fragments, which are called fines. These fines are further degraded so that short chain of polysaccharides are formed and dissolved in water. And next is retention rate. Cationic polymers added to the furnace that bind several negatively charged regions, thus improve the retention of fibers also present in closed water system. And internal sizing. Internal sizing can be done under acidic condition with rosin together with aluminum sulfate. These residues are present in white water system. So the closed white water system has got some pitfalls which can be solved to a certain extent. Organic compounds accumulate in the system which acts as a substrate for microorganisms to grow on surface of white water system as a biofilm. This film enters in the paper web, then drying process shrink the biofilm fragments and deteriorate the product quality. Some portion of the processed water exposed to the air where oxygen is microorganisms starts to ferment. Thus volatile fatty acids are produced which result in unpleasant odor which may not be acceptable. Inorganic ions accumulate, increase the temperature of white water. This high temperature coupled with anionic ions creates corrosive condition. Different additives added in white water affects process in the form of sticky, speech and anionic trash. Cations in the white water system, if present in high concentration, decreases the paper strength by decreasing the number of interfiber bonds. So suitable measures are to be taken. What are the measures? To control the microorganism, biocides are used and combined with dispersion agent dissolve the cluster of microorganism. Membrane filtration adopted to reduce the CO2 discharge. And cumulative effect of closed water system. It will increase total and dissolved organic carbon, total suspended solids and chemical oxygen demand. Up to this point, we see that in paper making sufficient amount of water added to release the fibers and to make the sheet formation, and then it is drained out to make the dry sheet. But in between this process, water becomes contaminated as discussed, and after taking suitable measures, it can be reused. Recommend of makeup water in closed water system. Although we make the water system closed, but there are some losses, so we need to compensate that. Here is the estimate. Loss in paper machine, that is 1 mq per ton of paper. High pressure shower press section, that is a 0.5 mq per ton of paper. Steam condensate loss in pulp and paper machine. And boiler CVD, that is 200 mq per day. And domestic use 10 mq per day. So it is clear that to run the process effectively without compromising the quality, we should adopt some treatment process so that we can reuse the wastewater in the process back, out of which CROPTA is an equipment which is based on dissolved air flotation technique. Here is a process brief. Wastewater feed in the system with addition of flocculants, and air is dissolved under pressure in the liquid, which is then released to atmospheric pressure in the flotation tank. As the microscopic air bubbles come out of the solution, they attach to the suspended solids in the liquid, causing them to float to the surface, forming a thick sludge. A special skimmer removes the sludge with the help of spiral scoop and passes it into the stationary center section from where it is discharged by gravity for either recycling or disposal. Water extracted from the system, normally less than 150 ppm of suspended solids. And next is activated carbon filter. Activated carbon filter is used after CROPTA to reduce the TSS further so that it can be used in paper machine showers. Here, carbon is generally activated with positive charge and is designed to attract negatively charged water contaminants. Thus, sediments and volatile organic compounds are removed. And the last stage is ETP. We get some quantity of wastewater from paper mill, which is treated in ETP through various processes. The wastewater, which is coming from the paper plant, has got TSS of 1,800 to 3,000 mg per liter and COD value of 3,000 mg per liter. In order to reuse this water in our system, we should maintain TSS of 100 to 150 mg per liter and COD less than 150 mg per liter. For this, we first use the hill skin for removal of TSS in certain extent. Then we pumped this water to primary clarifier with a pH of 7 to 7.5 by adding lime. In primary clarifier, we use coagulant, which destabilizes suspended solids, and by this the suspended solids coagulate, and by gravity it goes to bottom and taken out as sludge. In this stage, we reduce the TSS value to maximum of 250 mg per liter and COD value of 2000 mg per liter. Overflow of primary clarifier goes to aerated tank for biological treatment, where living organisms are used to treat water. In the aerated tank, wastewater is treated by biochemical process which uses air, that is oxygen, and microorganisms to biologically oxidize organic pollutants, thus reducing organic carbon content. In this way, after getting the desired quality, we can reuse the process water in paper making. This is a typical water balance of 150 TPD craft paper machine. And now is the conclusion. One cannot overemphasize the importance of process water conservation to improve water usage in paper industry. Each plant needs to analyze its process and water consumption points to reduce the usage. It is a process of continuous improvement. As most industries depend heavily on groundwater, steps like rainwater harvesting should be invested in to preserve the water table. Sensible usage alone can ensure the sustainability of industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bosch. As we know, pulp and paper, the raw material is almost water there. And therefore, it is very, very necessary to take steps. That's one of the major consumer of water. Like we say, aluminium, the raw material is electricity. So like that, pulp making water is a major part. And this shows the number of ways that you can change it, you can reduce it, you can monitor it, and then come to a completely different scenario than what it has been before. Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Mr. Gautam Dhar, who is the Chief General Manager, Corporate Planning of Coal India. And he would, of course, talk with about the mine water treatment. We heard the CMD of Coal India in the inaugural session. That was quite an illuminating lecture, I would say, what they plan to do and all that. So now let's hear from Mr. Dhar.
Good evening. Mr. Session Chairman, all the distinguished speakers on the dais, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chief General Manager from Coal India. I am dealing in the corporate planning division. That is all the policy making in Coal India I am head of that. Yeah. So responsibility of planning comes on my shoulder. Here, in the coal mining process, we are digging earth and taking out coal. And every year, about 1,400 to 1,500 million cubic meter of earth mass we are digging out. And see how much quantity of material that we are digging out. For this process, just water mass is going to be disturbed for this process. And we have to pump out huge quantity of water from the mine. Most of the water is been wasted. And later on, when the mining operation is completed, then of course water is being recharged there. But from this, when the huge crisis is coming up, I think we can think about instead of filling up the mine, after the completion of the mining, we may create a huge void area such that water can be stored there for the future needs. Now, in our mining process, there are two types of mine we have to have. One is underground mine, production is very less, but large number of underground mines are there, as many as 250 mines coal India is operating. We are the world largest mining company. We had almost 470 mines are there, out of the about 230 to 40 is open cast mine. And in open cast and underground, for the safety reasons, we have to pump out the water at the time of mining. Then after the mining, as per statutory need, we have to fill up the total area, then such that we can bring in the original shape. Now we have to rethink of, instead of filling up, whether we will keep the void for storing the water. That planning has to be changed now. Now, in my paper, I wanted that how we are wasting huge quantity of water and what action that we are taking for taking corrective actions for discharge of this water. Now, effluent generated at various stages of mining are mine effluents, workshop effluent, washery effluents, domestic effluents, and rainwater runoff. Now, in the mine water treatment, main polluants in mining operations do not involve any chemical reactions except mineral beneficiation. Only suspended particles are present in effluents. Treatments for removal of suspended coal or material in mine water done by settlement and removal of sludge. Sedimentation tank we used to design depends on particle size and distribution in effluent. Besides this, we have a acid mine water drainage. Chemical reactions takes place, changing iron from ferrous to ferric states and sulfur compounds to sulfuric acids. In some places, small particles of iron forms of suspension, more commonly known as ores. This has the appearance of reddish water. Treatment of acidic effluents is conventional neutralization pumped to a central location to be neutralized by alkaline chemicals. Biological treatment of acidic mine drainage, series of shallow ponds lined with the lime and planted with the native type of plants. Such wetlands are passive system requiring little or no continuing maintenance. Now, reuse of treated mine water. Generally, mine water is being used for our domestic use in and around the coal mines, for the populace staying there or the villages in and around, supplying drinking water to the colony or utility building and the villages. Some of the mine water used for the agriculture purpose and stored in mine voids for groundwater recharge and source in income for villages by pisciculture. Measures for future major water users may be identified along with the quantum and quantity and mine water treated accordingly. Besides this, we are polluting by workshop effluents. Results of the presence of oil and grease from engines, washing and floor cleaning. Generally, we treat these workshop waters and we reuse this treated recycled to the use of the washing and vehicles and cleaning purpose. Effluent treatment in washeries, no chemical process is involved. Effluent pass through thickeners, sedimentation of suspended particles by gravitational settling. We reuse this washery water again for the washing of coal through closed circuit design. Now, domestic effluents, of course, it is very less in our mine out areas. In large colonies, sewage treatment plants are constructed especially where as many as 1,000 quarters are there. However, in the small mines, we do not have any effluent plants. Sewage treatment plants extended aeronate lagoons and activated sludge methods. Treated water used for tree plantation or agriculture purpose. Now, monitoring laboratories are available in treatment plants to regulate and monitor regularly. Effluent monitored on by external agency, and water analysis as per the ISO standard for drinking water is also done at regular interval. Now, water conservations. Generally, reuse as drinking water supply to colony and utility building, surplus supplies outside. In Asansol area, in the Raningos coal field, we have a large number of closed mines are there, where there is a huge water sources are there. And Asansol municipality has planned to have a take out those water for the users in the Asansol municipality area. So in future, wherever we have a mined out, total complete mining operation is completed, those water can be stored and can be used. However, we cannot keep it there itself until the total mining operation is completed because of safety reasons. Nearby mine cannot be operated unless we take out all the water in and around. Otherwise, for the safety, inundation of the people, this is not been statutorily allowed. Issues of concern of coal mining. High concentration of thermal power plants, steel plants, cement plants, ancillary industries located in and around mining areas leads to a high pollution. Coal mining operations do not involve any chemical processes. Bulk of pollution caused by vehicle transport, other industries. However, restrictions are imposed on mining. Due to SEPI, new expansion projects cannot be taken up in such areas affecting growth of coal production. Suggestion: new red category industries may preferably located away from the coal field. Sources, apportionment of the pollution from different sources should be carried out by Pollution Control Board. Regional impact study should be conducted by the Pollution Control Board to reduce pollution due to vehicle movement, thrust on building, rail infrastructure, conveyor and silo loading. R&D should be encouraged for funding economical and viable solutions for acid mine treatment. Results of efforts and undertaken to restrict water pollution and conservation water in mining areas is not up to the mark. We admit that we are not doing whatever we should take control of water pollution in and around the mining field. However, our attempt is to have a restrict this pollution in and around mining area due to the mining operation. Special attention is needed to arrest pollution from runoff rainwater from dumps and stocks. Repeated camping needed to sensitize mine operations. Increase general awareness about water pollution in local populations is suggested. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dhar. That was short and sweet, and because he focused on one area only mainly, how to tackle the water. You know, mines have been always accused of being an industry which causes maximum disturbance to the environment. It may be true, may not be true, but that's what where the accusation stands. So there it's good to see that the largest coal company, largest mining company has taken so much of action on this. Thank you very much, Mr. Dhar. Our next speaker will be Mr. Sanjay Chakrabarti, who is the ED for Generation, CSC. He would speak on saving water and reducing carbon emission and experience in power generation.
Good evening, everybody. In next 10 minutes, I will share what we have done regarding saving of water and reducing carbon emission in our power stations. CESC is a vertically integrated power company. We are a part of RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. We have our own coal mine, our own generation, our own distribution network, and own billing system. We supply power in and around Calcutta. 80% of the energy consumed by the city is supplied from our generating stations. Previously, we were only concentrating in Calcutta. Now we have gone to Maharashtra. In Chandrapur, we are erecting one 600 megawatt thermal power plant, and we are erecting one more in Haldia. We are expanding our business in Jharkhand, Odisha, and Bihar also. We are erecting 3 numbers of hydro projects in Arunachal. We have gone for wind power in Rajasthan and recently commissioned a 7 megawatt solar project in Gujarat. In our power station, our aim is to produce maximum uninterrupted power at lowest cost in eco-friendly way. We believe in sustainable growth. Being based in the city of Calcutta, we take different proactive measures in the areas of environment like emission management, water management, solid waste management, etc. We also give thrust on energy efficiency and conservation efforts. I am splitting this presentation in two distinct parts: reduction of carbon emission and saving of water. Reduction of carbon emission occurs when lesser amount of fuel is burnt for same amount of electricity. Similarly, saving of water occurs when the process consumption is reduced and water is reused. In conventional power station, air, water and coal is the main input, and from the power station different type of effluent goes out. Solid waste basically in the form of ash goes out, and we take some auxiliary power to run our own plants, and finally the electricity goes to the customer. What we have done? We have reduced the coal input by improving heat rate. Heat rate means the amount of heat required for production of unit of electricity. We reduce the consumption of water by controlling the process. We reuse the effluents, and we reduce the auxiliary power consumption, and we try to make some internal non-conventional energy generation to reduce our auxiliary consumption. So these four main reduction process, which is shown as green, is our initiatives. Reduction of carbon emission. Carbon emission is reduced by improvement of heat rate, reducing of auxiliaries, and development of non-conventional energy within power station. When we reduce 1 million unit of electricity, that is equal to 1,000 tons of CO2 reduction. Regarding heat rate improvement, I am showing some points what we have done. We do time-bound checking of turbine internal seals. We open up the turbines in regular time interval to have the needed efficiency. We use thermography and hotspot system to pinpoint the leakages from various drains and traps. We blend coal so that for better burning, and we use special chemical dosing in cooling tower to eliminate condenser fouling. Also, to improve heat transfer coefficient of condenser tube, we clean them with bullets, and to reduce air leakages of the air heater bellows, we have used non-metallic fabrics in place of metallic bellows. Practically, we have done several other individual processes. Due to shortage of time, I am not going to describe everything. In last 8 years, we have come down from a average heat rate of 2700 to 2350, more than 10% savings, which means about 5 lakh tons coal saving and 967 million unit of saving of electricity. And 5 million tons coal is almost to us 140 crores. So that we have saved by these methods. Regarding auxiliary saving, we initiate different innovative practices, implement energy efficiency and energy saving projects. Regarding energy saving efficiency enhancement projects and improvements projects, I am giving one or two of them. We have used variable voltage, variable frequency drives in case of big motors, where in case of IDFD motors, previously the output was throttled. Now we are reducing and more energy was being consumed by those motors. Now we control the speed with variable voltage, variable frequency drive. We have seen that some of our pumps were having more than required, were developing more than required pressure. We have made some stage blinding and make them suitable for just as per the pressure requirement of the process, which reduce the energy consumption. Several other activities were taken, all volatile treatment to reduce the lower level of drainage, conversion of air atomizing in case of steam atomizing, and intermittent blowdown of plate settlers, optimizing CW pump operation, reducing throttling losses of PFN, and reducing number of conveying compressors based on the ash water hopper level monitoring, and auto timers in case of power supply of office blocks. In conservation process, we have reduced lighting circuit voltage, reduced throttling of the feed control station by reducing the pressure of the feed pumps. We have replaced the conventional chute blowing system to acoustic chute blowing system, optimizing number of conveying compressors on the basis of hopper level, and cooling tower fan logic we have modified so that when the need is low, the fan will run at lower RPM. Incorporated timer circuit in the controlling outdoor lighting. Several other small activities we have taken throughout the plant. By that way, we have reduced almost 1% of auxiliary, which is about 80 million units saving to us. And auxiliary saving means free energy available without any extra input to, and that free energy goes to customer. And with this saving project, we got 3 UNFCCC CDM projects certified by UNFCCC, and we have received so far 18 crores by these projects. And CSC is the first thermal power plant to have such projects. Regarding internal non-conventional thing, we have gone for solar lighting, and one innovative thing I will show, from power station outlet water of the outfall, we have erected micro turbines, and we are generating 2 into 15 kilowatts, that means 30 kilowatt power on regular basis. We are erecting the third one. Now I am going to saving of water. Regarding saving of water, our motto was 100% reduction in effluent outlet. We declared not a single drop of effluent will be flown out from our station. And for that, we formed a cross-functional teams to analyze quality and quantity of each of the process outputs. And they thought how it can be best used for the next process. So one process output with minimum correction, it is used for the next process, so that whole things remains cost effective. In conventional process, what happens? When process A and process B runs, water comes from river to process A, and after that it goes back to river after statutory treatments. But what we have done, once we have taken water for process A, after treatment we use the intake of process B, and that goes to discharge. It was the first step of recycling. Finally, what we did, we take water of process A, use that as inlet of process B, then retreat the process B effluent outlet to process C, and that process C is again recycled. Not a single drop of water goes out from any of our generating station as effluent. For that, and whole thing is done by our engineers internally without any external help and minimum possible cost. These are the things, process we have used, different PSF and ACF plant, different recirculating plant, for ash, different hydrobeam settling tanks. And now I will share one of the innovative thing we have done, that is root zone technology. This is done for septic tank outlet. When we say not a single drop of water will go out from station, it is very difficult. As because the water like septic tank outlets, they cannot be easily treated in conventional way. Here, we are treating it in a method called root zone technology, where a special type of canna trees are placed on the gravels and slanting gravels, and at the inlet of the total system, the water comes, and these canna trees have a special quality of discharging huge amount of oxygen in the water, and with that the bacteria grows in the water, which practically consumes the loading of the septic tanks, organic loading of the septic tanks, and made them free of pollutants. We regularly measure the microbiological parameters along with chemical parameters. The E. coli is 0. The fecal coliform, the bacteria is always within limit. Practically, the water is good for reuse, and we reuse those. This is the canna tree, canna plants, and when you do it, it is flowery garden that treats everything with its roots. Initially, this was our system. From cooling tower, the blowdown was going out, toilet canteens output was going out, neutralizing pit and blowdown of the boiler was going to holding plant. From there, they were going out. But after all those things, nothing goes out. All outlets are blocked now. All things are being reused. And from neutralizing pit outlet, we use it in a fish pond. At present, in all our station, we reuse 100% of our effluent, and for that, one good thing has happened. The Pollution Control Board do not take sample from our outlet anymore, because there is no outlet. We made several fast things, like fast plant to have even FCCC certificate for CDM project, and 100% recycle and effluent, and installation of microhydro turbine at CW outlet, weight ESP in our oldest station. These are innovative things we have done. But believe me, these are not costly affair. It is win-win-win situation. Win-win-win means wins for customer, win for society, and win for company. সোসাইটিটাকে ক্লিক করতে চাই, কি করে ক্লিক করব, কোনটা দিয়ে, এখানে করে আউটসাইড এখানে ক্লিক করি। In 2012, by this time, coal price has gone up by 300%, but our average tariff has gone up from 4 rupees to 5 rupees, that is 25%. In spite of 300% increase of raw material,
step would be how to make it water positive. I'm sure you will achieve that in due course. All right. We have now come to the end of the session, but just one or two or three questions. Anybody? I know it's not fair after such a long time to ask you to ask questions, but if any query is there for any of the speakers. Yes, please.
It's some flexible type of fins type of thing fitted on a bullet type of hard thing. External things are flexible, which actually rotates, and during its process, it cleans the mud attached with the condenser tubes.
Yes.
What do you actually mean by red category industries? That should not be situated in the vicinity of the coal mines.
Those who are polluting, maximum pollution is coming up.
Red category industries.
Yes, that is as per the categorizations given by the Pollution Control Board.
Like, say, for some as an example,
All metalworking.
Metalworking.
Yes.
Cement industry.
Okay.
There, and like that, even I think the plastic industry, and like that, there's a big list. Paper industry is also red. Paper and pulp, all these are categorized as red category. That is done by the Pollution Control Board.
Okay.
Anyone else? I saw a raised hand somewhere. Anyone else? Mr. Sharkar Exide, I have one question for you. You showed some figures of reducing water consumption and various other consumption as I saw. Are they, I assume they are total?
Yeah, that is yearly.
Yeah, right. Have you done any calculation based on per unit of battery or per unit of value added on this?
Yes, actually our measuring parameter is per metric ton of lead use, because battery main raw material is lead. So that it is in totality, but that we measure in our factory. We basically benchmark the per metric ton of lead use water consumption.
Good. Any other question? Anyone? Well, in that case, yes, please. Please take the mic. I think it will be better.
Hello. We heard that water is scarce and fresh water availability is only 0.23%. But we have got a large reserve of the seawater. Are we assuming that there is no technology will develop to convert seawater into potable water? I think there are technologies like reverse osmosis and others by which this vast amount of water can be tapped, which have almost left aside that this cannot be used.
You are absolutely right. I can answer this on behalf of all the speakers. Seawater is a tremendous resource which have not been utilized to the full extent, and the main reason of that are twofold. One is use of energy. Energy required for conversion of seawater is huge. it is a fantastic quantity per liter of water it needs. I forgot the figure. It's a fantastic quantity now. That is number one. Number two, the process itself is quite capital expensive. A lot of research work is going on. There are only the seawater desalination plant, as they're called, they are only most prominent in the Arab countries, as you can see, because they have the money by selling the oil. So they have put up these expensive plants. You have some in US also. But rest of the developing world, it's very, very difficult unless technology brings us to a place where both the energy consumption as also the capital cost comes down. Now the thought is that in future, when the hydrogen fuel comes into a big thing, you can use that renewable energy for fueling the desalination plant.
Actually, I'm talking that using it for uses other than drinking, like washing, flushing.
Yeah, but it's
and
highly
cleaning.
corrosive. It's highly corrosive. It's highly corrosive. It will wear out your whatever things you are going to wash. It will completely wear out. So the use of seawater is, unfortunately, that's the trick of the nature. They have given us, nature has given us so much of water, which unfortunately can't use for almost anything, unless they are treated. That is the problem.
Thank you.
Any other question? Yes. Yes.
As you have mentioned so rightly, that's seawater desalination process. But today the technology has been advanced so far that the Middle East actually is taking tremendous efforts on that desalination process, and Professor Basu and myself is also involved. What I wanted to say that even desalination process is being developed, but we have to think also the pollution concept, what the whole session has been concentrated on, the balance of pollution as well as means wastewater treatment and the recycling. We should have to emphasize on that process because India and the subcontinent of Southeast Asia, they are increasing the population in that level that the pollution are also increasing proportionally. And if we are not managing to control that pollution, then the wastewater treatment as well as desalination process will not solve. And if I could ask you whether am I correct to think that the parallel to water recycling process, we have to consider also two types of waste, that means solid waste as well as the liquid waste recycling. And if we are not be able very drastically, then we will probably in future will be lost. My opinion says that.
You are absolutely right. The world cannot go on. The world cannot go on the way we have been going on. And it's not only water. As you rightly said, it's not only water. Most certainly, it is also the solid waste. It's even air. One day will come, even the air has to be treated. We are treating the air today, but not in that kind of quantum, that kind of magnitude. But a day will come and water, air, and solid waste, all three have to be treated properly so that without recycling, the world economy is not sustainable. Everything has to be reused, recycled. The world will refuse, later on the earth will refuse to give us any material, any resource, unless we properly reuse it back and again. That's the only sustainable way for mankind. Can you have the mic? You have the mic. All right.
I just want to supplement Mr. Dhar about his concern about use of discharge of mine water. In BCCL, we have installed 28 pressure filters to supply water to nearby villages and our own people. And we have installed a 47 GLD plant for multi-purpose use of discharge of water. We have diverted 3 cluster of mines discharge to this project. And further, we are diverting other mines wherever it is possible to the non-coal bearing zone local ponds. Thanks.
Very good to hear that. You have any comments on that? No, thank you. Very good to hear. Yes, that's doing a good job. Any other question? Anyone? Yes. At the end. Okay, all right. Right, that's good. Yes, after that I'll come back to you. Yes, I'll come back to you after that. Please.
The seawater desalination is very energy intensive, but I think there is another way. If the water pressure is very low, then we can achieve the evaporation at very low temperatures. And I heard about some plant in somewhere in the eastern sea coast of India. I can't remember now. There this is implemented, and very low energy evaporation seawater desalination plant is working. And I think that will be a very energy efficient solution for the water crisis. That's
Yes. Any comment on that? Yes.
Yeah, I believe that the student was talking and thinking.
Very good.
It might be not so applicable at present scenario. It is for the future. So far, I believe that energy intensive, whatever he is talking, again the questions of energy is there. That the word energy. So we have to think the recycling to delete the word energy. That means anyway the energy not to be used. That should be the ultimate goal. That's I believe in future that type of concept may be developed in his concept, whatever, but it is not applicable at present.
Yes.
I think the student has, I think you are a student, huh? That's add very nicely to this discussion. What I want to add, I mean, we have discussed about energy, we have discussed discussing about the environment issues, and now we have landed up with the water. Interestingly, all these systems are getting into an integrated system in future. The subject of very fundamental thermoeconomics emerged from the desalination process. Because when there was large energy intensive requirement, then how the energy can be best utilized from the viewpoint of thermodynamics that lead to one particular second law based design principle, completely exergy analysis and thermoeconomics that originated from the desalination process. But I want to add, any necessity depends on the constrained situations of the surroundings. Presently, we are thinking it to be energy intensive, but in reality, when the rupees 100 or $100 will be the price of 1 liter of pure water, that time it may be useful. What I want to add, maybe in this particular conclave in next few years, one particular topic will be more important. That's the concept of polygeneration, where not only one particular utility will be considered separately, because in polygeneration concept, the energy required for the desalination process or water purification process will be obtained from waste heat from another utility system. So then only it will be justified. So that the recycling and integration of process integration will be very much important in overall viewpoint of energy environment conservation. And so we cannot consider them separately as separate technologies. I hope it will be the future of our requirement.
You are absolutely right. I remember even 6 years ago, there was an initiative from United Nations. It's called ZERI, Zero Emission Research Initiative. And that was done by the United Nations University. And one of the main idea was their integrating of the industries. You see, the energy and the waste which comes out of one particular industry, let's say a power station, they are trying to use everything within that power station. But there will be certain things which they won't be able to utilize. And the idea of integration is to put up another industry next to it so that you can take the waste next. If you let that waste travel to 4,000 kilometers, then you have wasted everything because of transport, because of fuel, carbon emission and all that. But if you can use it next door, that is the only one. I think they were trying to build up a plant in Africa from the United Nations where there are lots of such allied industries are within a distance of 20 or 30 square kilometer or something like that. And there they are using one industry's product, waste, literally as an input to the next industry next door. So you are absolutely right. That is the way that we have to go. Yes, you had a question.
I would just like to add, we are discussing about seawater, groundwater, and surface water. And there is also water in the atmosphere. We are not thinking about that. There is some technologies in China which is using the solar power to trap the atmospheric water and produce the drinking water for the places where there is no water to supply of water or something like that. This is also a new kind of technologies right now on Earth.
Yeah, you are right. I have seen such a plant in Singapore. But the problem is apparently that it's still the operation is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. They put up this plant basically to take the moisture out of the air and convert it to a drinking water. Because it's very pure water when you take out the moisture from the air. So, but I believe at that time, at least I'm talking 3 years ago or something, and that time the operational cost was very high. But I'm sure that this technology will be the technology for tomorrow. Now, I think I'm getting red eyes from the organizers, and it is very refreshing to see the amount of interest that it has generated. And I thank you very much, all of you, that you have taken part so much enthusiastically. And I would like to thank all the speakers for keeping to the time, and you also extended the time yourself. And that is the most rewarding thing that can happen to the speaker. Once again, thank you very much. And I am sure you have enjoyed the session, and a very good evening for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I now request Mr. Alok Mukherjee to present the mementos to our speakers. Looking forward to meet you all tomorrow. We have a very interesting day too, commencing with the Policymakers Forum and concluding with a very touchy occasion. We are having we do have a sit and draw competition on the occasion of World Environment Day every year. So the felicitation of the young painters will be tomorrow, just after lunch. So I request all of you to be here with us and to be there for the felicitation to the children. May I request Mr. Arun Mukherjee to present memento to Mr. Alok Mukherjee. The presentation shared by the speakers, the photographs and the video will be uploaded in our website end of next week. The CD has the presentations which we already got, but post-conclave, whatever presentations we'll have, it will be uploaded on our website. So you can download it from the website www.bengalchamber.com end of next week.